Thanks, Steve and Nicki, for joining us. Steve, welcome back to the podcast. Looking back over your weekend at the Quo convention, what's going through your mind? Like, what kind of jumps out at you?
The feeling of it was just good to be back with the Quo Army. We had to delay it by a year because of COVID, and then it was 13 months of intense advertising on social media. So it was just good to be there and just enjoy it with everybody.
And Nicki, you were working as a volunteer, and you're not a traditional member of the Quo Army. What did you make of the whole thing?
Well, when Steve said, "Oh, come along, you can be my assistant," so I was supposed to be sitting in the pit the whole time, just sitting there listening to the music, taking photos and stuff. And within about half an hour, I got drafted onto the merch stand. So it was very much a baptism of fire. But I had an absolutely fantastic weekend. The people were lovely. Ridiculously busy, but it was just fantastic. It was a really good experience.
And after sitting in the pit, Steve, for all that time, how were your ears?
Well, I'm going deaf as it is, so it was quite a comfortable noise for me. But it was just good to hear it all again. But in fact, it was louder in the pit than it was on the side of the stage. So I did go up to the side a fair bit as well.
Yeah, how many photos did you take over the course of the weekend? Because when I caught up with you about a day in, you said you'd taken 2,000 in one night.
It's over 5,000. I've just finishing editing the first heavy traffic performance, and there's 625 that are good to go from that performance alone.
Wow. Wow. On the subject of heavy traffic, how good were they to open up the convention and then close it again, obviously
Oh,
with guests?
they were just absolutely amazing. I mean, their attention to detail and being able to step in when Sound of Status couldn't be there, it was just remarkable.
Mm.
I mean, all the lads in that band are extremely talented, very, very, very talented.
Yeah, I think you can say that about all the bands, though. I don't think I saw one where I thought this is below par or anything. Like the quality was extremely high.
Yeah, and everybody cares about the music. Everyone who's in a Quo tribute band wants to get it right. And it's almost like a baptism of fire playing at the convention because you are playing to a legitimate Quo audience. And yeah, every one of them pulled it off.
You say a
No,
legitimate Quo audience, Steve, but Nicki isn't a member of the traditional Quo audience. What did you make of it, Nicki? Like what was going through your mind?
I just obviously there was some repetition, which you get. There's the crowd favourites, the things that people always expect, but I didn't expect there to be quite as much variety. And it was different styles and things. Obviously, having been with Steve for just over a year, I've heard quite a lot of Quo in that time, and obviously I was aware of them anyway. But it was just the variety, and also it was nice to see some of the younger generation coming through. Bearing in mind the age of the people actually in Quo now, and a lot of the fans, it was nice to see some younger ones in their sort of mid-20s and things still enjoying it, and also getting a huge kick out of it from the audience. And it was very receptive audience. And I think that's been the case with a lot of things with the arts after COVID. Everyone's just been really happy to see either audience or performers, whichever side of the stage you're in.
Do you think that there was a different atmosphere because of that? Like, do you think maybe the audience were a little bit more appreciative because we'd had that break?
I think so. I think with other things that I've done where there has been an audience, it has certainly the first one back in any
Mm.
situation. It's been very much a "we're really pleased to see you," which is nice for both sides to
Mm.
to have, because it has been a very difficult few years.
It has indeed. Steve, knowing that you've been to previous conventions, at least one, anyway,
Mm.
from my memory, how did this compare to those?
It was very much everyone banded together for this one. The artists, the audience, the crew. It was just one big effort from everybody. It was very unified. I just think everybody was just really pleased to be there. If I could go back now, I would. But yeah, it was very euphoric, I think.
It did have that vibe about it. We know that you're an ardent record collector. Did you pick
Yeah.
up anything in between all your photo snapping?
Not as much as I would like because I'm skint. But yeah, I mean, I picked up a couple of things. I picked up a copy of the Party Boys album that was initially just released in Australia, and that was a good find. And I picked up a couple of albums from Jason Hodgson, from Bowland Squidger. The Amsterdam Rock Project is a fantastic album. I was playing that last night, and picked up Lee O'Brien's CD. And just a couple of second-hand bits from some of the stalls. But yeah, funds were an issue this year, so I couldn't really buy a lot. Did you get much yourself?
Did I get much? Well, I picked up the Lee O'Brien album because I knew that was the deluxe edition, and really I wanted to support Jason in person because I've known him for a little while online, and when you're just in person and you think it can be very easy to type out "I support you" or whatever online, but to actually just go and make a purchase.
Oh, that's it. Yeah.
I mean, I was very limited on funds as well, and kind of had to pick my moment when I could make a purchase. And it was good that he could pay by card as well. A lot of the things were cash only, and I didn't have a lot of cash on me.
No.
So
I mean, a couple of my customers from the record shop are there as well, and I took them over to Jason's stall and got him a sale. So
You're just facilitating.
I'm just an enabler.
Well, did you get much signed, Steve? Because I saw you in the queue a couple of times.
Yeah, I got Jeff to sign a couple of bits and Leon, but that was about it, really. I just didn't get much time, particularly with Leon signing. I was there snapping pictures of everybody because of time constraints. So, which I'm sorting out, and they'll be on the FTMO website soon. But yeah, I didn't get much signed. Yeah, Jeff signed my In the Army Now album. Yeah, didn't get a chance to see the Middle Night Men after their set because I was in the pit for the next band. But yeah, but everybody was just great. At the end of the day, I was there to take pictures. It's about the fans, and I'm glad everybody got to meet the people they wanted to meet.
Yeah. I wanted to meet Leon and I wanted to get something signed, but they didn't say anything in advance about whether there was going to be a signing. And so I only had a limited amount of room in my bag, and I had Backbone in my hand here, thinking, shall I take it? Shall I not? Just in case. And I'm like, but I can't fit anything else in my bag, really. I need to save room. And so I put it back. And then the moment I saw it on Facebook, I was like, oh, no, expletive.
Yeah.
And I was talking to somebody else there, and I was like, I would have loved to have got Backbone signed, but I've left it at home, like 130 odd miles away. So, that was unfortunate, but I can understand, like, maybe it hadn't been organised in advance, unlike some of the others.
I think it was more the opportunity presented itself.
Yeah,
right.
Which is why we had a lot of people coming up to the merch store going, I need something to sign. So we gave quite a lot of the little leaflets away. So just take that. It's fine. So yes, you're not the only one who had a bit of a panic about it.
Well, it's fine. I got Jeff to sign my copy of Thirsty Work, which I'm happy about. That's good. It's not everybody's favourite, but it happens to be a fondness
it's a
of mine.
very underrated album. For me, everybody says Quo sound the same. It's all whereas Thirsty Work doesn't sound like that. It sounds different. It's a big two fingers up to the critics, and everyone panned it because it was different. The poor band can't win.
No. And speaking of different, the Middle Night Men.
Yes.
Those that are slaying it because it's not three chords and the truth. and apparently has nothing to do with the band Status Quo, despite having a member of Status Quo in it, plus the audio engineer and and a guy who's worked with Francis Rossi related projects. Has nothing to do with Status Quo. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, the good thing about the convention, Yvonne does try bring in a band that doesn't play Quo music, but has a Quo relation in it. I mean, for 2 years on the trot, there was Rick Parfitt Jr. and stuff. The Middle Night Men done a fantastic set. I mean, their rendition of Long Legged Linda at the end was just mind-blowing. It was really, really nice to hear that song live and with their spin on it. And anyone who says it's not Quo related can do the proverbial.
You're never going to please everybody. I think that's the upshot.
That is definitely, I think, the thing to point out here is that there's such it's 60 years of history.
Absolutely.
And I think no band kind of said that better than when Baz Barry came on and started playing Spicks and Specks and all this other stuff. And you're like, but this, again, if a non-Quo person came in, would go, well, that's nothing to do with Status Quo. It's like, yes, it is.
Yeah, you'll get some sort of Bee Gees hardcore fan going, that's a Bee Gees song. Well, they both done it, but Quo done it in the UK first because it was only released in Australia for the Bee Gees. Mm-hmm. And, Quo's version's better.
Yes, I chatted to a lot of people over the weekend, obviously from where I was, and there were a couple of people going, no one ever plays the early stuff anymore, and they were getting quite upset about it. So once Steve had explained what Baz was doing, then I thought, well, actually, that will really, really cheer up the people I was speaking to. So that was quite nice to hear.
When Baz did Little Miss Nothing, that was just awesome.
Wasn't it though? Wasn't it though?
Yeah. I nearly had tears at the end of that one. I even stood up in the pit and just did that.
I mean, to be fair, I didn't have tears, but then I did it 2 nights previously to Jam Side Down.
Yeah.
So it's like, no,
that's a cracking tune.
Not the music video behind as well, please. Got you right in the feels, but
oh God, it's hard to think that came out 20 years ago though. Jeez.
Yeah.
I was still in school.
So was I. So
yeah.
Oh, you're making me feel old.
You're only 2 years older than me, dear.
I know it's not fair to say are there any highlights, Steve, but do you have any highlights?
I've got highlights from every band, shall we say. I mean, seeing Heavy Traffic doing Jam Side Down and songs like that, big highlight. Dogger 2 Head were just a highlight in themselves. They were such a joy to watch. I mean, Baz Barry, that was just awesome. I mean, that one completely blew my mind. Quode playing Hello from start to finish. That was just amazing. And the way they sieged Backwater from 4,500 times was just incredible. I mean, it was one of the few times I went to the dressing room after the performance this time because it was busy for me. And I said, that was flipping good. Using another word. But I mean, Big Fat Mama for me, that they were just absolutely outstanding. And they had the crowd eating out of their hands. And I mean, my little girl was in attendance as well. And when the bass player jumped off the stage and gave her a plectrum and got her to strum the guitar while he was playing it, that would just stay with me forever. It was almost like for me and her mother passing on the baton to her type thing.
The closing set from Heavy Traffic, where the guys from Sound of Status came on, and then I think literally nearly every rhythm guitarist came on at the end.
Even Lloyd had a go.
I mean, that was loud. I was nearly in the front row for that. And the power that was coming, like all these people playing C.
Yes. It was surprisingly quiet on stage, though.
Do you think a couple were turned down, or was it all?
I
systems
think
go?
it was all systems go. particularly from front of house.
I did like that part in Heavy Traffic set where they threw out that Sea Cruise cover.
Yeah.
And then when they went in, they did the same thing for the second set. And I was like, oh, we're getting Sea Cruise again. And they started doing Rockin' All Over the World. And I was like, oh.
Yeah, I mean, they were really good for throwing in some obscure, newish ones.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, starting off with Francis's version of Caroline for their second set was just the icing on the cake.
Which Brino tells me he'd never heard before he'd actually played with them on stage.
Yes.
With it. So
we saw the sound check when everyone sort of turned up first thing in the morning and they were just sort of trying to work out between them. And obviously when you've got a band that's played together for a long time, there's lots of visual cues and everything. But I mean, Jay, who was playing the drums, he was watching everyone so intently when they actually came to do their performance, because no one quite knew what was going on. They had a vague idea, but he was just paying so much close attention to everyone just to make sure that everything kept on going as it should do.
But yeah, I mean, it was also nice to hear Cut Me from Slack from Backbone as well.
Yeah,
really good to have something really up to date. I must admit, when Quode went into the Roadhouse medley and they started the intro to Margarita Time, I wish they played that up the whole thing, but they just done the intro and moved on to Living on an Island. It was like, damn it.
You're probably the only person who's wishing for that.
Well,
at this
a
time.
couple of people afterwards said to me they started to go into singing Margarita Time and it got cut. I think it would have been a welcomed addition.
It seems like they're in a bit of a tradition, a bit of a transition at the moment, where they've spent a few years at the convention focusing on a very particular period, and now they're just broadening it out a little bit. And in another 2 years, you never know, you might even get the Margarita Time medley.
But I mean, it was nice hearing the mystery medley this time with Rolling Home and things like that. Yeah, so the mixture of songs this time was spot on. Absolutely spot on.
Definitely. Well, you are the you're the person who runs Rossi's social media. You're everywhere. How do you get time to do anything else?
Lots of planning. I mean, it's still slow from COVID, so I do get a bit of downtime now. But fortunately, things are starting to pick up. So my diary is my best friend at the minute.
Yeah, it does take a lot of planning.
Yeah.
Nicki, what is it that you do? What's your occupation outside of helping Steve?
I work for West Sussex County Council, so I faff about with maps and old documents on a daily basis. So doing something like the Quo convention is entirely different from my day job, which is fine. It's absolutely fine. You know, variety is the spice of life and all that. But I love music, so I do a lot of singing and things as hobbies, and I do amateur dramatics as well. So the arts is for me quite an outlet. So it's quite nice to tag along with Steve and be his less than able assistant if I have to.
And learn about some different music.
Exactly. I'm quite happy to give most things a go once with me in terms of music. So yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, I think it was good for you to see what I do when I'm away working as well.
Yeah. It was good. Managed to keep you vaguely supplied.
Yes.
With drink.
Because a lot of the time, because I'm so focused on what I need to do, I forget to eat and drink. So every so often, you know, she'd come running from the merch stall into the pit with a drink, so I stay hydrated.
It's a team effort.
Yes.
Do you wish you had an assistant with you all the time, Steve?
Yeah, most of the time. I mean, the job I just done on Tuesday night was a very easy job. It was very stationary, so I was in one place. So, and it only lasted an hour at best. So I was able to eat and drink before and after. But I mean, particularly festival type events, for me, it's difficult to spread myself out evenly, shall we say?
Yeah. Have you got any clients coming up? Any work coming up?
the Chris White Experience have got another album coming out in November, so I'll be doing a lot of the lyric videos and advertising for that. And there's the Zombies early next year, which I should be doing 3 shows for, taking pictures and various things. So we'll just see what crops up.
Awesome. Well, thank you both for joining me.
You're welcome.
You're more than welcome. It was good to see you at the convention, Jamie.